And we're live! I'm in space. I don't know where. I think Matt's where he usually is. Hey, folks. I'm the executive video producer and founder of ShaLaLaLa Productions, where we create marketing videos, as well as providing a live streaming service focusing in the medical and the educational field, with especially pop culture. And I'm here with
Matt Haas. I'm a technology expert that knows a lot about the YouTubes. I have several YouTube channels, and my goal is to help you make searchable videos people actually watch. And I'm glad to be here today. Robert, how are you, my friend?
I was gonna say feeling a little spacey, but that's just a bit of a stretch with the pun there. But no, I'm good. It's always a good time to be able to go on live with you and talk with the audience here. So it's gonna be a doozy because we're gonna talk about camera presence, and looking forward to hear some of the things that you want to share with everyone. But before we get into that, I just want to get a catch up to hear how you're doing and what new things you're working on.
I have a video in the works on both All Things YouTube and Awesome Wood Things. That's my other channel. And I'm going to release them simultaneously. And the end cards are going to point to the other channels. I'm doing some cross-channel promotions here because the topics tie into each other. I'm doing a studio tour of my office, and I'm pointing out every piece of audio, video, and lighting gear with a little commentary on how I've hooked them together. And I'm doing a woodworking version because there are 9 woodworking items to support either lights, camera, or video gear. And I'm just going to go through them and just show all the weird, interesting things I did with wood rather than buying expensive camera mounts and microphone stands, things like that. So double videos coming out on 2 of my channels, and I'm looking forward to it. Probably a couple days more.
Yep, and then in the respective YouTube and the Facebook chats, we just posted the links where you can check out the Matt newsletter for all the fun tips. I'm still blown away. 9, man. That's 9. Jeez.
My newsletter. You mentioned my newsletter. Yeah. If you sign up for my newsletter, you get a free download, which is my to-do list for project planning, pre-publishing of the YouTube video, because there's a lot of stuff you should do before you hit publish, and third, marketing. So if you want my to-do list of all the actions to create and publish and market my videos, it's there for free. Link is where Robert said it is. It's somewhere.
Yeah, it's in the chat description. I'm sorry, in the chat box, and as well as in Facebook, and there should be a link in the description. So we got you covered, amigo. So
excellent. Thank you.
No, anytime. So, and then just one last bit of admin stuff. I've been get the word out about it's still free while I still can't. It's the video production budgeting guideline. I'll post the link again in the chat box, but it's also in the description. It's just a way for those that are just either in video production, or if you're a freelancer, or even if you're someone that's working in the business, like a medium to large size business, and trying to figure out how you would budget for a videography work or editing. This set the record straight. So the link is in the description, as well as in the chat box again for you guys to check out, and all the oodles of fun stuff. So
Good deal.
Said
we got a lot of people in the house here. We got Joshua Lee, Artfully Blind with Diana, Portal Woodworks, Jaden's here, Rich Vibes, Paul from Love Audio Production. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks for coming on, folks. Oh, come on. No whammies. Oop. I think I gotta fix before we jump on, but
Was that an older comment? Where'd that comment come from?
that it was. I just gotta
That was the last comment on our last show. We don't know. You're here, Artfully Blind with Diana, but
indeed. But while I get that straightened out, Matt, why don't I let you give you the floor to start the topic, which
excellent.
is camera present. But before I do that, let me just get that graphic up.
All right.
I'll cover you. Come, trust me. I'll cover you.
I got lots of tips to talk to the camera. And I'm just going to throw them out rapid fire. Robert, you put on the brakes if you want to jump in or just jump over top of me. Any comment? And then same thing in the chat. If you have any comments about what I'm saying, good or bad, or your own tweaks on what I'm about to say, drop it in the chat. All good. So here we go. You have to love the topic. If you don't love the topic, then it's going to come through on the other end as problematic. People know. People know when you're dialing it in. I've seen so many channels, especially in the woodworking community. Again, I've got this website or this YouTube channel where they'll start out all passionate and then, you know, 6-7 months into it, it's just a grind, and they're not happy, and they're just going through the motions. You can tell. You got to love the topic. Another piece of good camera presence is I love saying good things. You know, good things, but say the bad, good. You know, if there's a comparison, you know, be upfront about it and say what's bad about a particular item and also what's good. The thing about talking to the camera is it's a very awkward thing to do. You're in a room, sometimes by yourself, you have a camera looking at you, and there's no one else there. It's hard to come off like you're talking to one person. And that's another thing. Talk as if you're talking to one person. And there's all kinds of things you can do alone to a camera to make it seem like you're talking to one particular person in the audience. And a lot of these tips help you have a conversation style speech when you're talking to the camera. I love to bullet point out all of my talking points. I'm looking at a bulleted list now. I don't like to script what I'm exactly going to say. Then it's like you're just reading off of a script, which is not the best thing. Talk in natural language based on the talking points that you have pre-scripted. Planning. Don't underestimate planning. If you just turn on the camera and go thinking it's all going to come together, that's not the way to play it. Plan. Reduce the pace of your speech. And this is actually a pretty awesome thing. If you find you're running into parts where you're not saying anything, like gaps, just slow down your pace. And this is what I figured out. It's exponential. The amount that it helps you is exponential. So just even a slightly slower pace benefits you twice as much. If you go 4 times as much slower, it benefits you 8 times as much. I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but literally just throttling your words and your sentences just a little bit will give you time to think through the next thing you're going to say. It helps a lot more. It sounds hokey. It actually, that's probably the best tip that I can give here. Well, maybe the best tip. We'll see. I like being loose and comfortable. I'm in t-shirts. You know, I'm not a stuffy presentation. No one wants to look through another corporate video of boringness. Be yourself and just be loose and like look at me. Like I have 80s paraphernalia all over this office, and I'm talking about real world business level topics. It doesn't matter. Put yourself into it. It's just more. I could be on a blank wall. No, don't do that. Put interesting things, sci-fi and music, and just that's important part of camera press. Look at the lens. The lens of the camera. The lens is here. Like my video feed is here. Look at that lens. Some people put sticky notes pointing to, look at it. Robert knows what's up. Pointing to the actual lens itself. Do it. Do it. One speech recommendation is don't end on an up note. It sounds like a question. Some people just have the inflection. Well, they'll end a sentence on an up note. It's awkward. Only if you're asking a question should you end on an up note. Take out the ums and ahs and filler words. Some people are against this. Some people like them. I try and take all of those out. And what I ended up doing is remove the ums and ahs. I still do it occasionally, but I tried to remove, and I filled them with English words, but the English words were not necessary to say. I used so a lot. Start off a sentence. So we'll look over at this monitor. So we'll bring up this little fun thing. You don't need the word. So I just did it again. It's constantly improving. And let me tell you, this is something you don't fix quickly. I watch all of my videos back, and you have the most critical eye of yourself. Watch your stuff back, and you'll know what your speech pattern is and how to fix it. Also, closed captioning. If you're presented with closed caption, like YouTube will give you the closed caption, it thinks it heard during your video. It's going to write down everything that you said to the best it can. Just reading that back and editing it and seeing the words you've said on the screen as words, you'll pick up on speech patterns that you can do better. And then your brain will subconsciously remember that the next time you go live. It's a slow process, but work on it. Work on your communication skills. If you get your transcript back and it's long pause, you'll see it. You'll see it, and you'll want to improve it. So don't think you're going to improve it drastically overnight, but try and get better each time. Looking at if there's questions, hit me up, Robert, if you see them.
Okay, what I could do
as our English teacher used to say, this is Joshua Lee. He says, "Don't say so unless you sew buttons on your underpants." I love it.
Yeah, that was our English teacher in junior high. Yeah, I think so. Boy, that takes you a while. It takes me back. But yeah, definitely.
Baker and Poppy. Yeah, cool.
If we do have a question, I'll be able to roll out the interrupting cow sound effect. Unofficially brought to you by Brenda G.
Show that to Brenda G from Brenda G's Design. She'll love that. All right, moving on. Short pauses are better than saying when you pause, it's actually interpreted by the viewer as, oh, something profound is going to happen, and they'll actually pay attention a little bit more during a pause. So if you don't know what to say, just say nothing rather than a filler word. Vocal fry. You know what vocal fry is?
Oh,
I don't
like
vocal fry. Don't do vocal fry. It drives me nuts. Some people like it. I don't like it. You should speak clearly and not do the fry. Camera press. Shaky cam. I do not like shaky cam at all. If you are out and about and you're moving, that's fine. But if you are a talking head, you're not in motion, lock your stuff down on a tripod for the love of all that's holy. What do you guys think about teleprompters during podcasts, says Joshua Lee? Don't like teleprompters. Teleprompters are something you think is going to make your content better. It requires massive upfront work. It's not a time saver. And you have to author what you're saying. You have to write what you're going to say in natural language. You will spend more time putting together your video with a teleprompter than you will.
So a clarification from Josh. He was saying he meant teleprompter for live streaming. As for your thoughts.
Yeah, live streaming. Podcasts, I would not. I wouldn't use a teleprompter for anything. I mean, there are use cases for it. Again, if you can pre-script what you're going to say in natural language and you're willing to put in the time, then do it. Do it. They do have a place. But if you think a teleprompter is going to make things faster, it won't. It won't make things faster. If anything, it might make things worse. And then you have to deliver the teleprompter in natural language too. It can't sound like you're reading it. Well, it can sound like you're reading it, but it won't be good if it sounds like you're reading it. So one, if you can write in natural language beforehand and put in the time to edit and revise it, you just can't slap it down and go. I mean, you got to polish that sucker up and then deliver it. You have to deliver it like you're not reading it. Then I'm down. I'm on your side. Go for it. If those two conditions aren't true, my recommendation is to bullet point out what you want to say and then deliver it in natural language. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So Diane mentions this is so similar to teaching presence. I was a teacher for 25, yes, and was early on advised to speak very slowly because it's common. Okay.
Okay. Great tip, Diana. Thank you for sharing that. We love that. Don't we love that, Robert?
I can
we love
truly
Diana
dig it.
too. Diana, you're amazing. We love you. Okay. Let's see. Live. This is tips for live. If you're unsure about where you're going to go with your sentence, don't go there. This I got from Leo Laporte. He's a old-time television host and longtime podcaster, video shows. I love my man Leo Laporte. He said, if you don't know where you're going to go, don't go there because you're going to get to the middle of your sentence and just stop. I hope that makes sense, but that's a good tip for live. Another good tip for live streaming is if you get a comment, you want to read a comment on screen, I like to prefix it with the channel name of the commenter. Like Artfully Blind with Diana. Like, I know her name is Diana. I will try and say the channel name as it is. I just think that's better protocol. People are on YouTube, and that's a little bit of recognition. I mean, I go on shows with All Things YouTube and Awesome with Things, and I'm commenting, and they say, oh, Matt said this, and that's great. But I'd rather they say all Things YouTube or Awesome with Things.
Yeah.
Portal Woodworks is here. Like, that's my friend David Jones. If I read a comment from Portal Woodworks, I'll say Portal Woodworks, and I won't say David Jones.
Yeah, I'll admit sometimes with some of the audience members, I mean not the current members, but I mean earlier posts, real tongue twisters, and sometimes I'm grateful where I'm able to pull up the comments so that way if I do butcher the spelling, at least people can read the what they're saying. So, but that's
a guy that comes on my show has 11 syllables in his YouTube channel name. It's Niantic River Woodcrafting with Chris Nealing.
Oh, that's how you pronounce it. Okay.
I could just say Chris is here or Chris Nealing's here, but I like to say the full YouTube channel. And Driveway Workshop with Jim Bashir's, like that was his channel name. Driveway Workshop with Jim. That's only 7 syllables. Niantic River Woodcrafting with Chris Nealing is 11, but I do it out of respect, and I think they I think it's better. I think it's better for the channel if you say the channel name. But a lot of people come in as first name, last name. That's the name of their channel, and then it's not an issue. But on the rare occasion where someone has a branded channel, I like to say the channel name. And I will greet them. Like, I'll say, oh, there's my friend Paul Weber from Love Audio Production. And then I'll just say Love Audio Production from there on out. Like, it's not that I'm excluding. It's not that I'll never say their first and last name. I will, especially if their name is something they don't mind. Like, if they announce their name on their own show, then I say it. There's some YouTubers that don't want their name isn't anywhere. It's not on their about page. It's not in their content. It's not in the description. But I know their name, but I don't say their name because it's not. Some people just want to publish content and be anonymous. And I absolutely respect that. That's called doxing if you out someone. I never, ever dox anyone.
Yes.
Okay. Another live streaming tip. If something bad happens during a live stream, just go with it. Just roll with the punches. I've had cameras tip off of tripods. I've had lights go out. Weird things happen. Don't get embarrassed. It's all good. If someone interrupts you, if you have a small child, did you see the one news article where a guy was on television being interviewed live? And the kid comes in, and then the wife comes in all freaked out. She grabs the kid. The wife tries to bend half over, like you see in concerts where the staff sort of hunches down and tried to come out of the. It was so. What should have happened is the guy being interviewed should have scooped up his daughter, put her on his lap, and just went ahead with the interview like nothing ever happened. That would have been the way to deal with something like that. So that's another thing you can do for on-camera presence. The most important tip is to amp up your delivery. The camera will zap your energy. This is a true fact. You've got to amp things up. You got to talk in a way that you don't normally talk, and it will come across as normal. Like, I normally talk like this. This is my normal inflection. This is that point. This is that. That's not good. This is point A. This is point B. That you need to jack up your energy, and the camera it's always on. The energy zapping filter is always enabled, and it's just a part of nature. So those are my rapid fire things. Oh, and I like to talk with my hands. That's like the last tip. Don't feel like you've got to be rigid. I say you and me. Let's amp it up. I'm a hand talker. I used to have this light much closer to me. I used to bash into the light because it was like right off camera.
Oh, okay.
I would be talking. You'd hear this thwack, thwack. I would be smacking things around off camera. It was kind of jarring. But
the Batman TV show. Thwack. Wham!
I know, right? Artfully Blind with Diana has a question. Which is worse, stumbling over my words, speaking naturally, or speaking what I wrote out smoothly? I'd rather have the natural speech. I like the natural speech, and if your natural speech patterns are a little choppy, so be it. I mean, you'd really have to. When you're speaking something you wrote, the same two conditions apply. You have to write it in natural language, and you have to deliver it in natural language. Both are very hard to do. So I would, unless you nail it with reading back what you've written, unless you nail it and bring it 100%, I would much rather have you stumble through bulleted lists, trying to come up with cohesive sentences coming off of a bulleted list. Much rather have that natural sounding. If someone sounds like they're reading, I don't know. I just sort of check out. It seems like the news. If I wanted the news, I would go to broadcast television. This is YouTube. YouTube is better than the news. Be better than broadcast television. So that's my take on it, Diana. Good question. Thank you. Thank you. Robert, that's what I have.
Okay. Oh, let me just pull this up.
Practice. Practice. Don't expect big wins. Watch yourself back. That's it. Amp up your delivery times 3 and watch yourself back. Those are the 2 biggest takeaways. All right, now I'm done.
Well, mine's a little bit more of a demonstration. So the reason why I've got this spacey outlook back here is the idea of using green screen. Now, I know, like most folks, I guess you could say it's a bit of a fiery topic. Couldn't resist. But I mean, if you're gonna do it, the thing to keep in mind is just as to like some good things to help make sure that the behind you really pop out, so that if you feel like what you have behind you naturally not cutting out for you, here's some things to consider. So I'm gonna, if you pardon me the expression, I'm gonna pull up the old rock. But we want to make sure Matt's in here. There we go. So
I'm still here.
So
Hi,
here's the
Giant
thing.
Rob. There you are.
Hey, giant businessman. No.
Don't sneeze on me. I don't want boogers falling down on my head.
No. Don't worry. I'll sneeze the other way. Wait, that way. That way. Okay. I still gotta get used to my. Anyway, so what I did here was to provide some examples of the images to consider. Not you don't have to use these exactly, but it just gives you some ideas of the types of background images to consider when you're using green screen. And so, okay, so right, a spacey background, and it's the idea, like, let's say if you're gonna give a talk about about space or something like that, you know, things that are relevant to your topics. It's kind of nice to kind of blend in with the theme. If you're more prone to like something that's cartoonish. Let's see if I got this. Oop, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. There it is. So, and if it's more like or more comical, you know, that maybe that's something that you might want to consider. But here's something where, whether it's your own live stream or even if in your own video conferencing, if you're going to use something like those, you know, bookish office type image, the 3 things you got to consider is the lighting, the positioning of your image, and the size of it. You can see it's a bookcase, but it's trying to like that idea where you have like that separation where you're so far ahead in front of the bookcases, but in general it may not be that clear. I had a photo, but I couldn't find it. Where one neat trick is that if you have like a Photoshop tool or Adobe Illustrator, a little bit blurry, so you can kind of like simulate like a shallow depth of field. But when you don't have that, it's just a matter of just finding like the right image behind you to give that realistic. Right now, where I'm sitting is like about 6 feet from where the green screen is, and so here's one I have here.
Diana has a question.
Okay, let me just find that.
She says, what kind of green screen are you using? A fabric curtain type or the stretched kind?
Okay, so the kind I have is like a muslin cloth, and usually if you get something like that, sorry, there it is. So, something like that, if you have like a green muslin cloth, it's always good to have like some sort of like a steam cleaner or something that can help you kind of smooth out the wrinkles. Or another tip would be like if you oversizing, they're like clothespins, but I forget what they call them. Clamps. That's it. Tug them really tight so that way you can get that nice smooth green cloth. And the other thing is that once you kind of stretch it out, if you notice that there's some wrinkles there, it's good to have like either a portable steam cleaner or something to help smooth out the wrinkles there. Or even if you want to iron it, that does the trick. Oop, let me just pull this. So
I
So
have some
that's
more
what you
green screen tips. Can I run some green screen tips by you and see what you think?
fire away.
Have separation between yourself and the green screen so you don't cast shadows on the green screen. Some people light their green screen separately with lights that don't shine on the actor to make it one solid color. I like green paint on the drywall. Like, there's no wrinkles with green paint at all. If you can pull that off. And you want distance because you don't want the green reflection falling onto the foreground of yourself. Like, a lot of people have like a green halo around themselves because the lights are bouncing off of the green screen and falling back onto you. And now you don't have that green halo around you, Robert. And I think that's because you're so far away, or you're 6 feet away from the green screen, which is a good distance. Some people don't have a lot of room, and the green screen is 1.5 feet behind them, and you can kind of tell. So those are my tips.
Actually, it's a good setup in terms of lighting. Let me just go back to the mini Matt and Big Rob. So, so to Matt's point about lighting, it's another key component so that you want to make sure that you don't have those shadows casting, especially if you're really like close up, like if you're like actually like like one or two men. But if you do, one tip you could do is you could really get a lot of light source and just blast the heck out of the screen. Just anything that you can do to get rid of the shadows behind you. If you, it's not ideal, but that's one tip that I find that works if you do it. But if you can get the separation that Matt described, it's a good thing. And generally, like 6 feet is a good distance to be able to do that. Now when you do that, sorry about that. Just I got like a flashing signal here. Okay. The one thing that you want to get some good lighting. So especially when you have like a green screen behind you, it's good to have like even lighting, so that way you can pull off the effect there. So I have like about 3 sources of one's on to the left, to the right, and then actually I have one on the top just to be able to cover any of the shadows that I think would pick up that may not be picked up from the side. And sometimes if there are coming through at the bottom, I'll have like a little lights at the bottom and try to fill in those dark spots. Especially if I'm gonna be like, if I like were to stand in front of the green screen and want to make sure that something kind of like head to toe or something like that you're able to get those shadows. I can illustrate as to the kind of things to watch out for if you don't have a strong fill light, is which you get a little bit of a dark shadow. So behind me are the lights for the green screen. So even though you can still see me, it's still a little bit dark just because I don't have like a primary fill source. Now I will tell you that I do have like a couple side here, so it's almost like I've got like a bit of a 3-point back there, as well as one in front of me here, just to get a nice even fill of my face. And so to consider as to knowing what you're going to have behind you, as well as having good light sources to be able to help fill in those areas where it might be a little bit dark, unless it's for an effect. And here's one. So right now I've got a bookcase behind me, but let's say if I have something that has like a little bit of a shadow, like this. Okay. Here's a couple things to watch out for. If you have that clock, there's going to be stuck at 7:15, so you want to watch out for any images that have like something that's like time specific, because if you're going to use that as a background, it's going to stay for a while. So unless you're like me and you do something like this, what
Problem
clock?
solved. Hey,
But if
that image, it looks like it's stretched out because the circles are ovals. Can you see that?
So that's another thing to watch out for. I know I did this slightly for exaggerated effect, but sometimes like the images you get, you want to make sure it's in the proper ratio as to what you're filming. So I know like whether if you're on like YouTube, it's roughly like
16 by
1920
9.
by yeah 16:9, and I think this is like a little bit like 4:3. So to get rid of those black, you know, like how like in TV, like if you see something 4:3 in a widescreen, you get those black bars.
I
What they
know.
do is sometimes like if they don't want to stretch it out because you get that effect, that they just keep it to 4:3. So for me, when you're streaming and it's kind of like, you know, kind of like stretched out there, I had to kind of stretch it out. But when you have that effect, so that's something to watch out for. But a different demonstration one I want to use with this light is that you can tell that there's some shadow behind me, and there's like a single light source to wait, a single light to my left, but to your right in front of the screen. Sometimes it's just a matter of just having a little bit of fun with the lights, and that's to just to try to make sure you kind of pull off that effect. So, so like for here, where the light source is over there. Oh, wrong one.
There you go.
Ah, son of a gun. So
You had it right the first time.
I know. I'm like, let me try this again. All right. So it's just the idea that you just kind of image behind you so that it's a little bit darker here, but you're using the background to your advantage, so that way it looks like the lights coming in over here. So it's a little bit. I don't know if I would say like it's like an advanced or intermediate pro tip, but it's if you do have something image that's a little bit like a difference in the light source, it's not like the end of the world. It's just a matter of like use the tools that you have to your advantage. Like for me, I mean, I've got like I'm using a green screen. I've got the lights, so it's creative with the lights, the image behind you to be able to pull the effect that you want. And let me put that on because I'm having a little trouble seeing. But it's just to that idea. Now for something like this, because Matt noticed that it is a little bit stretched out. Here's another little cheat, and that's about positioning with the image. Now, and sometimes you have to be careful of. You can kind of like play around and crop it in, so that way you don't see the clock because it's not in the shot. And what I did is I punched in the image there. The one thing you want to watch out for is when you punch in the image, make sure that the image is of a, because if you get something that's a bit well, let's just say it's like pretty. If you get like an image that's pretty small, like a thumbnail, and you blow it up, it's gonna be a little bit pixelated. And if you punch in like that, it's gonna be a little bit grainy. But it's I forget what the ratio is, but you can tell it's one that gives me the room to be able to punch it in. That you could use to your advantage. So that's another thing to think about is like you can always play
That's a
around
good
with the
point.
image.
Resolution. Yeah.
And
That's
then
a good point.
with the added effect of with the lights. Oh wait, in this case the lights coming on the other side. So it's kind of
There we
like
go.
it's also kind of playing around with the idea where over here, and just kind of like playing with the lights so you're getting more of a pseudo light source from here when you actually you got three, and then playing off with the image behind there. So it's just a matter of just having fun and just playing around, just being aware with the elements to pull off that effect. So that was my tip with the green screen is
Cool.
that just make sure you know what tools you have, what kind of effect that you want, and make sure you have a little bit of time so you can play around with it to get that right effect. If you don't, then I know like as a cheat, some people would use like a solid color, so something like, oh, wrong one. And if you do that, then it's just a matter of just like your wardrobe choice. So it's a bit of a dark background. So I know it's kind of an exaggerated face. I've got like a dark shirt there, so I don't lead it into the background. But let's say if I was like in my office and I only had like that less than a foot away from me, I could easily like bleed into the image. So sometimes like something like a bright solid color may help give you a little bit of separate example. But that's like if you don't have time or don't have the opportunity to play around with like an actual scene to pull out that effect. So that's just another idea to play around with. So so again, it's just a matter of just you know how ambitious you are to play around with your images and just kind of pull it off. And when in doubt, if green screen's not your cup of tea, then it's just a matter like, um, like like what Matt has done, like with his background, to be able to bring
No
personality.
green screen
and,
here.
right. So that's
Hey,
the other.
Artfully Blind with Diana was talking about iMovie in
Okay.
the chat, and we had a quick back and forth. iMovie is incredibly good at doing green screens. Apple's methodology is to make things push button simple and do a lot of things under the hood, which some people don't like because they like to control all the knobs and switches. But if you're just getting started and you have the free iMovie app on an Apple device, you're probably going to have a great experience, because I did some fun, quirky stuff with green screens, and I put it out there and like, Matt, I've been using Adobe Premiere for 5 years, and I can't get the green screen to be as good as you just, like, what did you use to do your green screen? I'm like, just iMovie, brother. I'm like, really? So that's the cheat code. Use the free iMovie from on Macs. But in any event, it's hard to do green screens to make them not look like green screens. And I think the tips you gave are excellent for that. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I know like before coming on, I was talking to some other colleagues, and they were telling me like whenever they advise clients, it's a little bit tough where if they don't have the right how do I put this, sources or the right experience, then the next best thing is like what you said earlier, is just to be able to, if you can pull a lot of personality to what's behind you and just use actual physical, not props,
Yeah,
but
this is real stuff. Look, I can pick this up.
right, exactly. So, and that's probably a better option. But I know that there are people that are insistently, no, I like the green screen. So it's just a matter of just giving you an idea like what it takes to a good look, or just be able to know like what tools involved, so that if you still want to do it, at least those are some things to think about as to what to pull off, or at the very least, if you have any questions or any challenges, just be able to reach out to colleagues that have work in the green screen, or just drop me a line or drop me a question. I'll be glad to answer your questions. But yeah, so
you're
that's,
available. You're awesome.
I do what I can. I try
All
to keep
right.
up with
You
you.
want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask thoughts to the group that you want to let everyone know before we sign off.
Just wanted to remind them, if you sign up for my free email address or my free email newsletter, you'll get my to-do list for content planning and marketing. So it's out there for you, faux free.
Faux free. Oh wait, I gotta see if I can get this to work. This keyboard's been trying to introduce the moo-bell, or in some cases the interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow.
And to keep things going here. Oh, good, that still works. So that's the scoop. Let me just do a quick scan if there's any questions before we. I don't think there are. I think we answered everything. But again, if we missed your questions, just drop us a line or leave a comment in the post, and we'll get back to you with the answer to your question. But in the meantime, where is it? Oh no, I forgot. Like in the office, I have all my my paraphernalia. Don't have it here. The only thing I got here is
Oh.
it's not the same one like you have, which is the
Looking
peace
for your
symbol.
coaster.
Exactly.
Your coaster has been like heavily used, sir.
Oh,
That's
man.
a good thing. I use it every day. And I got your in my I love audio. I love audio mug. Inside the mug. Oops. Oh, trust me. Inside the mug is another sticker. Try and keep it.
Oh, thank you.
And it's
Oh,
in there.
man.
when I do my top-down shot, you can see it. There we go.
All right.
It does. Oh, it flipped over. Anyway.
I might actually next week. I might use the room here again now that I got things working. So maybe I'll try to.
Oh, and if anyone wants a Brenda G's design sticker, I have a handful of them. I'll mail them out to you for free anywhere in the world.
Oop. I still have to control the cowbell there. I mean the moo-bell. I think that's about now. Next week we'll be on the air at usual time, 6:30 p.m. We'll know what we'll talk about when we get on as we get closer to the date as they're running. But that's about it for now. Thanks everyone for watching, and again, be well, be safe. I'm Rob, and this is
Matt. Good night. All things YouTube.
And
Find
again
me on the interwebs.
Yep, and all of Matt's links are in the description. So if you want to find Matt and check out his stuff, that's where to check it out. And for me, so that's it for now. Be well, be safe, and thanks for watching. And I'll push the
Good night.
buttons.